monitoring or changing the slides, also on my, actually on my top left, and you'll be on my top right. So it might look weird. It might not look like I'm looking at you, but I really am, and I'm present and I'm here with you. But I want to make sure that I provide you with this content and hopefully give you enough time to ask questions while we're here together.
And I can say I've been to her office, and it does look like it's like a NASA like dashboard in her office because she has all her stuff. So it's good though.
Thanks. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully I can do this okay. No, that's not it. 1 second. Okay, great. So Margaret told you a little bit about me, and I just wanted to give you some more information. We are a CPA practice. We have, we've been around for, I've been doing this work for over 25 years now, and I'm really focused to working with clients who are ambitious businesses or even individuals that want to work hard to grow their cash flow with faster and with less effort. And that is in the core of all of the business that we do. That mindset is at the core of all of the business that we do with our clients. I've been in accounting, like I said, for over 25 years, but I've always had it in my DNA. I think I was born calculating with a calculator, and just I've loved math from the time I was very young. All right. All right, so today we're going to, and I'm going to go through our slides quickly, but we do have a financial excellence system series, and what I'm talking about today is really the premise comes from the series, but I've changed it around a little bit for our discussion today because we find ourselves in a period of uncertainty with the coronavirus. So it's all about cash flow, whether you're talking to me through any one of the courses that we provide through our financial coaching and financial excellence programs, but now it's all about the cash flow in times of uncertainty. So today we're going to discuss ways briefly on how to get focused on cash flow management. I want to touch on the importance of mindset when we're talking about cash flow management, and I also want to briefly talk about navigating financial challenges with clarity and confidence. And I will briefly correlate this conversation with the economic stimulus that has been worked on up to this point due to the coronavirus and things that are coming down the pike. So we always say that the time is now when we talk about cash flow, when we don't have a pandemic at the heart of what we're doing. But now it's even more important to really talk about cash flow. And in talking about it today, those of you that are on our video conference with us today, I'm sure you're in all different places, or at least I'm going to assume everyone's in all different places right now. If you think about it, as a business owner, cash flow is top of mind in times of all throughout the year. Sometimes it's positive cash flow. Sometimes we're thinking about how to make payroll as a business owner. Sometimes as an individual, we're thinking about how to save money for retirement. So we're thinking about it when it's not at times where, how did you put it, Margaret? We're sheltered inside.
Sheltered in place.
Sheltered in place, right? But now we're sheltered in place. So maybe for today, and maybe for the next 24 hours, if we could just take a step back and think to ourselves, well, wow, it's a great time to think about cash flow regardless. Like, let's maybe for just the next 40 minutes or so, not think about the fact that we have to worry about cash flow if we are in this place because there's a pandemic. Let's just I'm not saying it's not there, and I'm not being disrespectful to the fact that people have to think about cash flow, maybe even more importantly, because it is with us right now. But if we could just maybe set it aside, it will be there when we're done this course and this discussion in 40 minutes. But that is the beauty. That the beauty is that we have this time now together. But then another element of beauty is that there is going to be another side to what we're dealing with right now. And when we get to the other side, we will be able to create even more with an even more open mind than we can do today. So a couple of things when it comes to housekeeping for our brief conversation. Like I said, I want you to keep an open mind. I want you to forget about the external forces we have around us. And I want you to forget about any inhibitions you have about cash flow. And if possible, to be in a space or in a room that is off limits to others, where you can sort of create your own little safe space where it's quiet and you can just be completely present to the conversation that we're having. And also, as another element to the housekeeping I want to bring to the forefront is during this conversation, I want you to notice how much your mind talks to you and either agrees with me or disagrees with me as I go through the slides here and I present to you some of my thoughts about cash flow and finding the opportunities in times of uncertainty. Just notice. It's actually a little technique. It's actually a technique that we teach in our course. So with that, one of the practices that we teach in our course, and one of, I say, is a really great opportunity for us today with what's happening around us, is in order to provide your best focus on cash flow and finding your opportunities in times of uncertainty, one of the best things to do is to quiet your mind. So what I'd like you to do is, now that you are in your private, quiet, safe space, is I want you to close your eyes just for a moment. And I want you to think about what your quiet space is. You know, is it the beach very early on a weekday morning when you've just started taking your walk and no one is around and the waters are really still and quiet? Or is it a room in your house where you have the fire going and all you can hear is the crackle of the fire? Or is it a sunroom in your home? Just whatever puts you into a place of whether you're physically there now and you can really create that for yourself in your mind, or if it's someplace you love to be, just to be able to quiet your mind. I want you to keep your eyes closed, and I want you to take 3 really good deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling, and 3 good strong breaths coming from your stomach. Really, really low part in your stomach. Breathe in and then breathe out. And then for 15 seconds, I want you to listen to every thought that comes up while you're attempting to quiet your mind. Think of every thought. I'm going to time you. And as those thoughts come up, I want you to just notice them. Just give me a moment. Okay. Notice your thoughts. And each time one comes up, as you're trying to quiet your mind, I want you to thank that thought for sharing, and then thank that next thought for sharing. Keep thanking your thoughts for sharing, and I want you to continue breathing. Okay, before you open your eyes, I want you to say to your thoughts, I appreciate you, all you thoughts for sharing with me what you had to say during this time. And now I'm going to move forward in my focus on cash flow. And thank you, thoughts, for sharing with me. And I'm going to move forward now. And now you can open your eyes again. So that was a very quick way to do this, to do that exercise. And I share that exercise with you at this time because, you know, just like you take time to and set aside time to exercise, to get your body in shape and help your mind be more focused. It's also important from a mindset perspective, as particularly you're working on your business and your cash flow, to train your mind to just be quiet. Just be quiet, because you want your mind to be sometimes as quiet and still as your body is, to really help you really focus and give some good thought and creative juices to focusing on and improving your cash flow. Now, we did this exercise in 15 seconds. You may or may not have gotten benefit from it, but I promise you that if you were just to do this exercise for yourself, maybe 10 minutes a day for, I say, the next 7 days, you'll really start to notice that you have the power to stop your mind from any negative communications that are coming forward. And that is really important when you're working on your cash flow and building your business. And it will help you stay open, creative, and focused. In the work that we do here at TMS in coaching with our clients, our perspective is financial excellence is a way of life. I mean, just think about excellence, for example. That's why we have a gold diamond. When we think of when we see a gold diamond, we just, you know, conceptually, we believe that there's just some great excellence with that diamond. It's crisp, it's clean, it draws into our attention beauty for ourselves in focusing on positive cash flow outcomes. And when we talk about financial excellence as a way of life and focus on cash flow, we teach concepts that we call both inner work and outer work. And those concepts are, for example, what we just did with quieting our mind. That's inner work. It's helping us focus on our mindset. The outer work is creating budgets, creating goals, knowing our numbers. And the combination of those two within the concept of financial excellence being a way of life will really help you participate in a framework for achievement for financial excellence that really helps you to be successful in your business and personal life. Financial excellence as a way of life has a few different concepts, but 3 of the elements we're going to briefly talk about today is focusing on the future, knowing your numbers today, and creating a plan that helps you to fulfill upon the future on which you're focused. We want you to focus on where you're going, not where you are. Now, normally when we have this conversation with those that we coach, we're talking about minimally 12 months at a time. But now we have to sort of change that concept a little bit for those for who it's important. So, you know, focusing on your future, not necessarily where you are, almost sounds like it may be a contradiction to the other element that I said was important, knowing your numbers today. But if we just stop for a second and think to ourselves, let's just focus on where we are going, not necessarily where we are today. And if we considered that in three different goals to focus on where we were going, I'd like you to start thinking for yourselves to focus on a goal for 12 months from today, a goal for 6 months from today, and a goal from even 3 months from today. And the reason why I've created those three goal-oriented time periods is because in this period of time with which we're dealing, which is so different in our history, for myself, and I think many of us on this video conference today, we've never dealt with something like this in our lifetime. So I really want to have each of us think about what could be a great goal for our business financially 3 months down the line. And when you think about creating that goal, what I want you to think about is, you know, what do you want in terms of revenue, or what would you want in terms of having money in your bank account?
Thank you, Michelle. That was going to be my clarifying question. Thank you.
Yes, yes. I want you to think about like just something financially that's important to you. You know, I had to tailor this a little bit again for the times, but I really want you to just give some thought to, you want that goal to be specific. You want it to be a little bit of a stretch for you as a person and as a business. And you want it to be at a period of time, like actually write it down in the journal that you keep or that you're keeping for today, or put it on your calendar, whether your calendar is in your Outlook or your virtual calendar. Like, what specifically do you want to have for yourself financially for your business if in 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months? And I will also say, given the time we're in right now, that could include obtaining a grant through one of the federal loan programs, or a loan through the SBA program of X amount of dollars, even whether or not even if you don't know if that's possible, just create that goal. Now, as much as I suggested to you that I want you to focus and create 3 goals for the future, I also want you to know your numbers today. Again, it's a little bit of a different context than the program that we offer, but knowing your numbers today is really important. Now, I know you've all been watching the news, and you've been getting, if your email inbox is anything like mine, you have gotten at least 15 emails today about the COVID-19 virus and resources, right? And yes, right? And I mean, you can even raise your hand in Zoom, right? And be like, yes, that's me. And the reality is, I mean, that could be really overwhelming in and of itself. Y'all, I actually have a folder in my Outlook that I have that says emails for review. And it is emails for resources for the coronavirus, and also emails that have really good content that I might want to repurpose in the future. And I have them separately set aside so that I could take, 15 minutes of free time and just start reviewing those. Because what was happening is I find myself getting so focused on all those emails that I really wasn't paying attention to what I needed to do in my business. But some of those emails are resources, and they're resources for grants and loans and things that could really help you in your business get by through this challenging period of time that we're all in. So, but with each of those programs and the various resources that are coming to you and that for which you may be eligible, you need to know your numbers, and you need to have certain financial information. I'm going to quickly go through with you the financial information that I feel is important, that I recommend you get together for yourselves today to really help you in obtaining some of those resources through the economic stimulus programs. I recommend you pull together your balance sheet for 2019, that you pull together your profit and loss statement for 2019, and even those 2 statements for the first few months of this new year, 2020, to the extent you can. We're actually going to be through the first quarter of this calendar year in the next 5 days. So if you've got time on your hands, it's really, really great time to really get that first quarter updated for yourselves. And I would also pull together your two prior years of tax returns, whether that's 2019 and 2018. And when I say pull them together, I recommend you put all of this information in one place, whether that be a Dropbox folder or another folder in the cloud system that you have. Or I would also, you could create a separate folder on your computer. Or if you're like some of us, me for example, you can actually print some of these documents and have them ready to go for copying or scanning to a third party if they need them. I would also pull together a list of the debt that you have outstanding. And I take your financial statements and I would start looking at your profit and loss statement. Some of the grants and loan programs that are out there right now, they're going to help you based on your expenses. So you're going to need to know what your payroll expense is for either a monthly, quarterly, or annual period of time. You're going to need to know how much you pay your 1099 contractors if you pay them for the same periods of time. So I would even go as far as putting in that folder that I'm creating the last 4 quarters of my payroll tax returns. So bringing that information is not only helping you to get yourself prepared for applying for loans online and applying for grants online, or even on paper, or even going to your bank and asking them to give you a line of credit because you have the wherewithal to get a line of credit. Pulling this information is not only going to help you for those types of scenarios, but this is one aspect of really enhancing your cash flow, knowing your numbers and gathering all your information in one place so it's easily accessible to you. So I put this slide in here at this point in time in this presentation because we're going through all of this so quickly. It's a lot of information about cash flow. It's a challenging time, right? It's also a time where we can be grateful, but there's a lot of information, right? So you could experience times during this conversation or times when you're pulling your financial information together or crystallizing your goals where you start feeling discomfort and you start getting upset and the reality of some of your customers not paying really hits you. I'm not going to lie, I think about that frequently. You know, I mean, we're an accounting firm, we're a service business. We are right now preparing tax returns for customers, and we had to prepare them for clients through March 15th. And we have to prepare some for April and July still. And, you know, I get worried that somebody may not be able to pay. And so I actually set time aside for that worry. And then I set some time aside to go back to quieting my mind so that I then can get back to focusing on what's important to me in my financial well-being. Right? Going back to focusing on that plan. So if my goal that I wrote down a few slides ago is to obtain a credit line for $25,000 to sustain my business between the months of April and let's say August 2020, then I'm going to do my little freak out dance because I'm getting overwhelmed of putting all this information together. Then I'm going to go back to gathering all my financial information and documents that I need. Then I'm going to focus on completing my loan or my grant application. Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful view? Might be Greece. And I put this slide in here at this time because, you know, let's think about it for a second. When we go on vacation, right, we're planning a vacation, we're planning a future event, right, with much in the way of specifics, right? We're going to go to the beach for 2 weeks, and we're going to get a townhouse that sleeps 8, and 4 couples are going to go, and we're, you know, this couple is going to bring the food for, this couple's going to bring the drinks, this couple's going to cook one night, this couple's going to cook another night. Here, you know, we plan the itinerary, we plan how we're going to get there. We search those various websites for airfare, you know, inexpensive airfare, or the best airfare, not necessarily inexpensive airfare. But whatever it is about that vacation, we're planning it. And we're planning it maybe 3 months in advance or 6 months in advance. And then we wind up there, right? This beautiful, amazing vacation, right? That is, and it brings us joy, right? If we could create our cash flow plan or our budget with that much joy and that much thought, we'd be just as successful in achieving our goals from a cash flow and budget perspective than as we're planning a really amazing vacation. So it's all very doable. Now, there's challenges, right? When we create our goals, we're pulling our financial information together, we hit roadblocks, we hit snags. You know, if we don't plan for the fact that we're going to have financial challenges like we're in right now for some of us, or plan for the fact that there could be hiccups along the way, then we're surprising ourselves, right? We have to plan for these things and we have to navigate through them. But the beauty is that we're going to really work through it. And if we think about it, I was talking about the financials a few minutes ago, and pulling that information together. But when we're talking about, we now have, like, let's say, as I was talking, you pulled all your financial information together because you had it at your fingertips, right? The next thing I would say is you have to now navigate your plan during, you know, the next 3 months. And so navigating that plan and navigating through these financial challenges at this time, you want to give thought to a few things, okay? It's building your revenue base and cutting your expenses. I recommend you don't do only one. Often when I'm coaching our clients, the first thing that they go to is their expense budget. Sometimes my clients don't even have a revenue budget because what they have ritualistically focused on is their expenses. Y'all, I want you to focus on your revenue. I want you to think big about your revenue, and I want you to focus on your revenue. And one way you can do that is really, it's a very simple process. It's, I call it the top 50. It's low-hanging fruit. You know, take some time, set some time aside in your calendar specifically, because working on your cash flow plan is about planning and setting time aside. I want you to set an hour. No. For some of you that do this routinely, you can set aside an hour. For those of you where you're actually going to take on some of these recommendations and do it for the first time, set aside 30 minutes. And write down low-hanging fruit, 50 ways you could make money in the next month. It actually could be something as simple as what's on my list, and something I don't do is I have some rebates for some product that I bought, right, for my business, that I have to actually fill out the paperwork to get the money back. And my first inclination is not to do that because it's not a lot of money. But you know what? That money's due me. I have the time now. So that is something on the low-hanging fruit list. I can do it, I can get it done, and I can get it in the mail because the mail is still operating. Or in today's day and age, you can complete a rebate form right online. But that is something I would consider as low-hanging fruit. it isn't necessarily something as I would consider a little bit more significant as maybe identifying a new business line, but that's okay, or another way to make some money. Right now, that task list is the 50 ways to bring in some money over the next month, and I call that the low-hanging fruit exercise. Just a short-term thing to be thinking about. And another way in that 30 minutes, another thing that you can do in that 30 minutes as you're thinking about building your revenue base is what can you do in the short term to generate business? What can, is it maybe writing some articles about your expertise and getting those published, or publishing, starting a blog and having people, or upping your social media, having people really see who you are and what your expertise is in. That isn't necessarily going to bring you money overnight, but you might have the time now to spend some time really doing these things because your customers aren't calling and you aren't doing the work with them that is normally what you would be doing at this time. Like Margaret said when I first got on the phone, what a great opportunity we have to be in this living room summit now. If the pandemic wasn't going on, we'd all be doing the things we normally do for our businesses. That's briefly about revenue increases. The other side of it, not only on the revenue increase side of it, but really want to begin navigating your plan with looking at ways to cut expenses. And some of the areas that we don't even think about where we could cut expenses very quicker than we normally would, and maybe thoughtfully, are areas in our business like dues we pay for either various website why am I blanking? Dues we have for various programs that we have for our businesses. Like for myself, for example, as a CPA, I have dues to various memberships where I get content and resource knowledge, where I can do some research for my business. I have quite a few of them. Maybe I don't need a lot of them right now. Subscriptions, business subscriptions, periodicals, online subscriptions for applications for your business that you might not necessarily need right now. You can maybe look at your expenses and cut out expenses that are unnecessary. Actually, to be honest, many of my clients have dues and subscriptions like for Adobe and for other software that they have had but they don't use anymore, and they don't even realize that they have those expenses because the expenses are on automatic renewal. So they just charge your card either monthly or annually when the subscription is up. You might not even need some of your insurance expenses right now. I'm wanting to be cautious. Don't cut out all of your insurance expenses, but you might not need some of them at this time because maybe some insurance is based on revenue thresholds or inventory thresholds. And if those have decreased, well, you might be able to decrease your insurance expense at this time. All right, so tax and economic stimulus changes. And what I'm actually going to do is turn this over for questions because we're close to 2 o'clock. So there's been a lot of information that have come out about tax and economic stimulus changes, and there's going to be more. But the things that you want to be thinking about right now are the fact that the due date for your tax return has been extended from April 15th to July 15th. However, if you are someone that gets money back, then what you can put on your low-hanging fruit list is to get your tax return done sooner rather than later, because you want to put that money into your bank account. And also, even if you are going to owe money, I recommend that you get your tax return done to the extent that you have the ability to do so that you can plan between today and July 15th how much money you might have to pay on your tax return for July 15th. And for some of you that actually also make estimated tax payments, first quarter's tax estimate has been extended to July 15th, but the second quarter hasn't yet. So oddly enough, you can pay your first quarter estimate for 2020 on July 15th, but you have to pay your second quarter estimate right now on June 15th.
Wow.
So there are definitely things that you have to be thinking about with all of this information and coming out to you. The other area that I think is important for all of our business owners is the SBA disaster loan program. I'm recommending to all of my business owners.
I'm sorry, can I just interrupt you really quickly because I know
Sure.
it's gonna take people a minute.
Yeah.
Everyone who's watching live, again, I know this can be a very private subject. So if you want to send a question to me privately, I'll keep it anonymous, and I can, obviously we have an expert here. So if you have any questions, send them to me or put them in the chat. But anyway, it takes everyone a minute to type. Go ahead, go on.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. So the SBA loan program, I say apply if you are a business. And I'll say it again, apply. And because you never know if you're if you are eligible for that. And you don't have to sign the paperwork. So even if you apply, it's going to take the SBA time to review your loan application and get it approved. These things aren't happening overnight. 2 days ago, I found out that people weren't even able to get onto the system to apply because there was so much happening so quickly. But you don't have to sign the paperwork. So if something better comes along, like a grant specifically for your industry or from your state or local government, you could apply for that and get that in lieu of the loan. But the loan is really a low interest rate, 3.75% for businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits. That's a really good interest rate. Lots of lines of credit. Some of them aren't even at interest rates that low. So Margaret, it's 4:56 Eastern time, and I know we're gonna wrap up here soon. I do have a few more slides, but I'd like to take a pause because I've been talking a lot, and I'd like to see if there are any questions.
Yeah, no, I haven't got a question just yet, but I do want to just say that this is a very big topic, and cash flow, you mentioned having your P&L, having your balance sheet, and you've got to have systems up for that. And I know from just being in the women business community, not a lot of people have that even set up yet. And there's no shame here. There's none of that. Michele, like I said, is my friend, and I am in marketing. My background is not finance. And so I was a very late bloomer when it comes to putting my financials together. And so there is no shame. And I really got that from Michele when I started talking to her. She kind of let me have some relief around finance, even when I first started talking to her about this years ago, because the way she puts it is just so, it was easy for me to grasp. And so on that, I don't want to end the call without putting, I'm going to type it here in the financial excellence. One moment.
Well, while you're talking, I will let everyone know that, you know, I enter in these slides at times where I think that there's, where I've provided a lot of information, and like, I'm powering through this, y'all. This is a lot to talk about in a short period of time. And I see some faces, I don't see other faces. And so, you know, it's you can't get it all in one 45-minute session, but I'm just really trying to give you some high level information to really help you really start diving into cash flow opportunities for yourself.
That's awesome. And so I'm sorry. So I was just saying that this is like a section of like your bigger financial plan. And so Michele gave me an offer for everybody in the summit. So she has launched the financial excellence system, and it's a course now, where she used to do this one-on-one and in small groups. although some of that is still available, for me at the time, it just wasn't in my budget to hire someone one-on-one. And so being able to take a course is going to make it much easier for all of us to get all these things in place. So you have a promo code of $150 off with the code SUMMIT, and the link is right here in the chat. It'll also be in the portal. But on top of that, the first 10 people are going to get a customized session. Am I right, Michele?
Yes, 1 hour session.
A 1 hour session. So that's going to be available to the first 10 people. And then after that, those who use the code SUMMIT, you will be invited into a group call. You'll have an opportunity to do a group call. And so this is different than the actual course that's being offered online, because those two bonuses are not listed anywhere online. So Michele will be rewarding us that use this code SUMMIT with either the one-on-one or with the group. So that's really awesome, Michele. I know that I probably still have some questions around this, but this is all very, very good information. And I just want to ask you one question before we get going. If someone is feeling really, really stuck around their finances, and I'm only saying that because that was me not too long ago. And I'm honestly in a position right now where I've been so much better with my cash and my spending and my budgeting, and that during this crazy time, I've been able to extend payment plans to people that I'm coaching, and just being able to help because I'm not in dire need of the cash. And that feels like a really good place to be, but I haven't always been there. So tell us, what's one thing that if someone's feeling really stuck, how can they get unstuck?
One thing. Oh, that's a great question. One thing, how to get unstuck. So, sort of going through my mind right now. I think it goes back to that breathing exercise I was telling you about. I quickly went through an example of earlier. It's like really just closing your eyes, like really training yourself to stop you from going down that tunnel. You know, that tunnel that maybe none of you have done this before, but Margaret, you tell me if this resonates with you, that tunnel of negativity, like you didn't do something with respect to your finances, and that something set you back a little bit, or didn't make you feel good. And then as a result of not taking of that one action setting you back a bit, then you just start thinking about all of the other ways that you set yourself back, and you start spiraling backward, right? And it's interesting that you asked me that question on this slide that I have up here, which is harness the power of a key factor to support you in the most challenging times. And that's your mindset, right? So if you're able to continuously practice stopping yourself from spiraling backward, right? And saying to yourself, wait, hold on a second. I might not have done that great. However, there are other elements in my arsenal of life that I've done really well. And, one way, in addition to quieting your mind from all of the chatter, is also taking some time for yourself, maybe 10 minutes a day, and writing down what you're grateful for. 10 things on a daily basis, what you're grateful for. What I have found when I did this exercise, and I do this exercise, is my mind opens up, and being grateful allows you to generate greater abundance for yourself in your mind, for your positive viewpoints toward yourself and toward your business, but also it leads you to opportunities that you weren't necessarily thinking about because you're really focused on abundance. Awesome. So I hope that answers your question, Margaret.
No, it really, really does. And actually, someone from your CPA firm just sent me an email resource for the call today. A link to the SBA disaster loan. So that will be in our resources as well. So thank you so much too for including the, what's happening. I had no idea that my quarterlies were pushed back, but not my second quarter. So that's news to me, but I'll probably still make my payment just because I'll forget and I won't do it. So.
Well, and Margaret, it's ever changing. Now at this time in our lives, we have to be ready. We have to dance a little bit. We have to dance with the knowledge we received today. And tomorrow there may be a new tidbit of information we're going to have to dance with a little bit differently.
Awesome. So I just wanted to, I'm going to stop your share real quick because I'd like to share my share.
Sure.
Yeah, no problem. We're going to jump off and get like a little tiny bit of a break. As you guys know, if you've been with me all day, I'm very particular about the breaks, obviously, because I'm here the entire time. So I'm just going to share my screen really quickly so you can see the course, the Financial Excellence System course, the 6 keys to mastering the financial excellence method. Here's the course curriculum. There's there's mindset, but there's also practical. And I love how Michele brings in the mindset piece because that's everything to our business, like how we are with money and how we enter the process with our mind and all of that stuff. So this is the course. I know that Michele was launching this course last week, but of course with everything that has gone on, this is kind of like a soft launch, so we get to preview it. And again, we have our $150 code. So that information is here. It'll be in the portal. And Michele, I just want to thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Margaret, for having me on.